All right, we here with the Ear to the Streets matchup. We got two MCs, NAS and JADAKISS. NAS, who's coming off of his #1 global album, King's Disease 2, and JADAKISS with a legendary performance on the Versus platform. Most people were saying that with Kiss, Kiss is top five, but my question was, who are you moving off your list, being as though that now you're saying that he's top 5? Because I'm pretty sure before the Versus, a lot of people weren't saying that.
No, it definitely wasn't.
So that made me come up with the idea for this matchup in the case 4. So we're gonna score it. You're one of the 3 judges, 12 rounds, and you score them on a 10-9 system, like we do in boxing, and if it's a slaughter, then it's a 10-8. We'll tally up the scores and we'll move from
Hopefully
there.
nobody gets a 10-8 round. That's gonna be back. I'm gonna hear about it. If somebody get a 10-8 round.
Right. So, okay, here we go. Round 1, lyrics and bars. And when we talk about lyrics and bars, we're talking about the MC putting together metaphors, similes, bars, and a little bit of the flexible wordplay. This definition, it varies. Some people like their lyrics hard hitting with punchlines. Others like to see what the artist can create. So in terms of lyrics and bars, who gets round 1 and explain why?
Lyrics and bars. Earlier NAS would have probably got this round. But like longevity wise, JADAKISS never, like I said before previously, is freestyles, certain songs, features, never said nothing whack to me. Have everything been super, like, oh my God, you ever heard that before? As far as like, everything's been like you always remember a JADAKISS verse. I always say to people, like, can you remember the verse or the feature that person, your favorite rapper, was on? You can remember JADAKISS's verses, some of his punchlines, and majority of all his features. Same thing with NAS. I think the earlier part of NAS' career, we can remember all those features, remember all those songs. They was hitting. You know, he got a little bit older. He had some lows in the career, came back up, went down, but JADAKISS always been even kill for me. So that's a good 10-9 JADAKISS from the first round.
Flow is the MC's verbal dexterity, their ability to ride the beat, their vocal execution, rhyme patterns, and even in some cases, an inventive style that they and only they could execute. So in matters of flow, how would you score that round?
Flow, it's gonna be another close one. JADAKISS flow has always been good. The only thing with JADAKISS, I always said that with him was, I never heard him speed up his raps. It's always been like straight, even kill, punchline. You know how he rides the beat a certain way. NAS has a lot of versatility. That you heard him rap fast, you heard him rap slow, you heard him dumb it down. So that's another close round, but I'm gonna give NAS that round. It's gonna be another 10-9 round. That one goes to NAS.
All right, round number 3, storytelling. This is quite to the point. The ability to tell a story and execute to keep you in the beginning, middle, or end.
I think this might be a 10-8 round for NAS. This might be a 10-8 round. NAS has legendary storytelling songs, like legendary. Blazing 50s is like one of my favorite joint. I Gave You Power, like legendary. Like he got some legendary storytelling songs. JADAKISS, I don't remember too many of his storytelling songs. Now if there's some, like, maybe it might be some B-side records where there are some storytelling I might be forgetting right now, but to me, this is a 10-8, like NAS storytelling. Like I Gave You Power was like, it was different. Like it was nobody
hands down
was even thinking like that. I know people gonna say, oh, the Tupac comparison. Listen, but NAS, the way he flipped that I Gave You Power, something about he was a gun though, it was crazy.
And for those that have been in English class, he utilized the tool of personification in that song. Putting that cop and McGee to work.
Yes, let's not forget that.
All right, so moving on to so wait, how'd you score that round?
That's a 10-8.
10-8 round? Okay.
Yeah.
So moving forward to elite consistency.
Ooh.
Now, elite consistency is the ability of the rapper, the MC, performing his lyrics, flow, storytelling, and all of his vocal performances being on a high level over time. I give the great example of LL Cool J. When he first came out in that time, he was at a high level. Then throughout his career, he experienced lulls. Where he went down a bit, but then when somebody kicked the sleeping dragon, he came up and performed again. Then he went into a lull and then performed again. So he didn't have a high level of elite consistency, but when provoked, he could get there. Where there are other artists who are elite, consistent all the way through. So how would you score this round? Case for Jada, case for Nas.
All right, so Nas has some low moments. We all know that, and you know when he's motivated, there's no rapper better than him. We know that. Like when he's motivated, there's nobody better than him. When he's really focused, and I think, like you said, as a great comparison, LL and Nas, they had their ups, and when they had their lows, they had their lows. But you know, when people kick them or try to play them or this and that, you know, Nas, you're guaranteed to get something crazy from Nas. That's a fact. Jadakiss, to me, didn't have those lows where there was maybe a 5-year gap where you didn't hear nothing from him. He's always on the scene. He's always doing a feature or something like that. There was never no low. And I think Jadakiss' career has been always even kill. Even when they was going through the whole stuff with Puff, they was like, yeah, they ain't put out no music, but they still was killing people with mixtapes. Now with Nas, when he had problems with labels or something like that, he'll just disappear and just, I'm chilling out till the lawyers clear this up, or I'm just relaxing, I'm just doing the dad thing, or whatever the case may be, or he's trying to do another business venture.
So how would you score that round?
That's a 10-9 Jada.
Okay. Next round. What is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fifth round. Catalog and body of work. Woo! So the catalog is your albums, what you put out on your major releases, but we also count your body of work as your mixtape verses, your features, and this category has a 2-album minimum, meaning that you can't get into this particular matchup unless you have a minimum of 2 albums. So catalog, body of work, how would you score this round?
All right, so this round's gonna be tricky. So for Nas, the catalog with the albums, Jadakiss can't match that with the albums wise. But now Jadakiss does have albums with a group and solo projects, but the mixtape circuit is crazy for him. And sometimes people at this point, I think now is the culture of rap, because sometimes you could, depending on the rollout for the mixtape, we consider it like a mixtape / album. So if we're gonna go by that, then Jadakiss is gonna get this round. But like I said, if we're gonna go by the albums, which is where I say it gets a little tricky for this round, because it might be a draw here, just because off the strength of the albums. For Nas, like, listen, Nas' first album, I always tell people, Nas' first album is one of the albums that made me pay attention to what rappers are saying. So I'm a little biased when it comes to this, okay? So, and Jadakiss, like I said, when he came along, those mixtapes, those punchlines, legendary punchlines. So, but
this is the catalog and the body of work. Those things count, but how would you match this round?
10-9 Jada.
10-9 Jada. Okay, and if you wanted to do a draw, I'm just saying that they
if I'm not gonna do no draws, I'm gonna do 10.
No. You can pick.
To be honest with you, just because the body of work of Nas' albums and like some of them, the impacts for those albums, it will be a draw for me.
Okay, all right. So we can live with it. 10-10 round.
That'd be a 10-10.
Okay, so it'll be a 10-10 round. So that is bringing us to the 6th round, which is longevity. And that longevity speaks for itself. I think this is, well, I'll let you go ahead.
Longevity. I mean, Nas been in the game for like, since the 90s. And Jadakiss has been in late 90s. So the longevity, but see, this is where I get caught up with the word longevity, because then it's like, all right, you've been in the game for this long, but did you have long, quiet moments? And Nas had those long, quiet moments, which always bothered me, where I think he could have still did more features, more mixtapes. I don't think, but once again, he's an A-list rapper, so I don't know if he felt like he needed to do that. Jadakiss might consider himself an A-list rapper, but most people won't consider him that. Hence where there are more mixtapes, there are more features. So for me, for longevity, I'm gonna go with Jada with that, because Nas just have so many.
How would you score the round?
10-9.
All right, and that's the first 6 rounds. All right, round 7, hit records. And the hit records category consists of their own hits,
right? The
ones that they wrote, right? And the ones that they were featured on.
Okay,
right.
This one's gonna be tricky too. Yeah. Okay, this one's gonna be a little tricky.
Go ahead.
All right, hit records. Well, the first thing you would say, well, Nas have majority of hit records. You would say you have I Rule the World, Hate Me Now. You would say Street Dreams. I'm trying to think of a few. It's like it's so many, but I'm trying to think of some of the bigger ones. Also, let's never forget, you wrote Jiggy with it for Will Smith. Let's not forget that. Right. Let's not forget that. Now, Jadakiss has, I think more of his bigger records were probably with the Lox as a group. So like, I don't think this is a little tricky because I think his biggest records were probably with the group. I mean, to me, I think his biggest record solo was probably Knock Yourself Out, We Gonna Make It, and Why. Those are his big ones. Now, chart-wise, don't get me the line. I do not know what the charts, with that being said, but the bigger records, I think I'm gonna get that round of Nas, man.
How'd you score it?
That's a 10-9.
All right, next round. Battle Tested. And by this, you know, I get a lot of kickbacks on it, but Battle Tested means that they faced off against other MCs, the caliber of who they faced, the outcome, what happened prior to the battle, and what happened to their career after the battle. So all of those things factor into Battle Tested.
All right, cool. So now the battle, this is good. This is a good one. So battles. Now we all know Nas had the most legendary battle with Jadakiss, with Jay-Z. So that one, you know, everybody's gonna be like, oh, you know, they're always gonna give Nas the heads up, like, oh, that round. But look at Jadakiss. Jadakiss did battle BDC, but BDC was like one of the hottest rappers at that time. And let's not forget, his boss did duck that battle with him because Jadakiss wanted all the smoke with Hov and he did not want that problem. So he sent BDC on him. Let's not forget, he went to war with 50 now. That was another major battle because at that time 50 was smoking and anybody he was battling, he was destroying them just because of the antics and everything else. But Jadakiss kept on the rap stuff and he smoked 50. And you know, as far as the aftermath, who made I think Nas came out more up the top because I think people really respected Nas for going that whole, like, at first he was like, oh, I don't want to do all that. I'm not with all that, but they had the Ether record. I still think Takeover is a better song, but you know, that's another debate for another day. But you know, Nas won that battle. Some people might say, oh, he was the people's champ, so he's going to win. But if you go song for song, Takeover versus the Ether, I think for me, Takeover was the better song. Now for Jadakiss, there was really no songs for like those battles that he had. It was a lot of freestyles, and them freestyles was crazy. Okay, we cannot put those freestyles on the back burner. Those freestyles were more serious. That round, I'm gonna give that round to Jada because Jada battle raps and freestyles were crazy. Jadakiss wins that round 10-9 for the battles.
All right, cultural influence, and by cultural influence we mean with their presence, they brought something to the hip hop culture that either wasn't there before, they either added on to it and took it to another level, or they cornered a certain corner of the culture that previously existed and totally rebranded and refaced it for their own.
All right, so culturally wise, I'm gonna have this round. I think it's just Nas completely because of Nas' longevity, and also that first, it goes back to Illmatic. I think people was rapping, but the way Nas was rapping in Illmatic, even the song One Love, the New York State of Mind, that album from front to back, it changed how people rap. Because everybody after that wanted to be like, all right, listen, if he's rapping like this, I gotta switch up. No more of that fast rap. I gotta come with a little bit of flash, but more street, hardcore, edgier stuff. Now, Jadakiss always been rapping like that. We're not gonna take that from him, but that impact-wise, and Nas kind of changed the game from that first album. That's a 10-9 round for Nas in that category.
Next round, live show performance, which basically, for those of you, we've been in, lockdown for a minute. You probably haven't seen a show in a long time, but when they had
years,
shows, their ability to perform in a live stage and keep people captivated as an MC.
Live performance. I've seen Nas perform multiple times. I always tell people Nas is a good. Nas has a great category, but he's like the coolest dude in the room. So the performance-wise, I've seen Jadakiss and the Lox perform multiple times, and I always got a good show out of them, and they always gave a lot of energy. So this is a quick one. This is 10-9 Jada. They live performance. Nobody never saw them perform. You saw the verses and you saw how it was. That's how they perform at concerts.
All right, we're coming down the stretch right now. We're at generational impact. And what generational impact means is for rappers that had the ability to stick around, or even if they didn't have the ability to stick around, when they landed in the game and when they dropped their projects and when they did the rounds, it reverberated through multiple generations.
This one's a little tricky. All right, so with Jadakiss now, we're seeing when they drop their projects, I don't know if I think that the first 2 albums he had, they were more generational projects. I think at that time he was probably more at his height of his career. Not just because of his longevity, how long he's been in the game. People are always going to he's pretty much the OG. Everybody's going to that's a NAS project? Oh yeah, I'm going to check that out. Jadakiss project, I think more people who are Lox fans are going to check it out just because, that's Jadakiss from the Lox. Less than that's Jadakiss. For Nas, it's not even a question. People it's Nas. And that's evident because he had the #1 album that just recently dropped, which was which is big for him at this stage of his career. So this is another 10-9. This one's going to Nas on this one.
All right, final round. We have Reinvention to Relevance. As you know, hip hop has been a culture that's been around for 40 plus years. And we've had different MCs come, MCs go, and different MCs, more go than stay around.
Exactly.
More go than stay around. But for those that have managed to stay around, they've managed to reinvent themselves to keep the career going a little bit longer. How do you score this round with Jadakiss and NAS?
All right, so with this one, this is a good one. Because now I think both rappers are both OGs at this point in their careers, right? Nas a little bit older just because he had a head start in the career. I think they both reinvented themselves recently, but now because Nas found a producer that I guess he got that chemistry with. He got Hit Boy, I think that was it. The Kanye album, that was a dud. It is what it is. He's my favorite. Nas is always gonna be in my top 5, but that album was a dud. Jadakiss now. This versus is going to be major for him because now people are going to look at him and say, all right, you a top 5 dude. Now we want to see what you can do as far as your body of work as now your next project. So I think the next project for him, he cannot miss on this because then it's just going to be all right, you let us down. And then you're just going to go right back in that group of great lyricists and projects, So with Nas, I think he reinvented himself because he found a producer that he got a good chemistry with, which is super important. I can't stress that enough. That having a good producer that you have chemistry with, that y'all can make great music together is super important. So for Nas to have Hit Boy right now, this Drake, the last 2 projects, he won the Grammy, #1 record for the next one. For Jada, that versus was major for him. So this now he has to capitalize on it. He has to give you that project to say, listen, I didn't think he was top 5 before, but this project, this made him top 5 now because of this project. So with this round, I'm going to give a slight 10-9 to Nas because I think he reinvented himself with Hit Boy. But I'm telling you, if Jada releases a project that if he does what he's supposed to do, that round could easily go back to Jada over the 10-9 round easily.
All right, those are your scores. All right, we're here with the matchups. So we got my man Q, and you already know what it is. 12 rounds, Kiss versus Nas. We're gonna go straight into round 1. I explained it, lyrics and bars. That's the metaphors, similes, bars, and wordplay. How do you score that matchup? 10-9 system, just like they do in boxing. Go.
Metaphors, similes, bars. How I would score this, I would give the edge to Jadakiss for consistency. In the first half of Nas's career, it was a landslide. Well, not even a landslide, but he had the edge, almost lapped him because Jadakiss was still nice as hell in the earlier part of his career as well. But I think he just had a big lapse in the second half of his career. So I would go 10-9 Jadakiss.
All right, round 2, flow. Just to explain to everybody that missed the other one, flow is your ability as an MC to showcase your verbal dexterity, how you ride the beat, your vocal execution, your unique rhyme patterns, and in some cases, an inventive style of execution that you probably own yourself. How would you score that round?
Well, this round is really a tough one because neither artist actually excels in this category. Jadakiss never changes his flow. That's one. And Nas, he's attempted to do multiple flows on numerous records, but he really wasn't successful. I think he tried to change his flow in a Genuine record, so I'm pretty much, he always an asterisk because of that. This is like can we do like a 9-8 or something like that?
Yeah, 9-8. That's how you
like
want
9-8. So we'll give the edge to Nas, because Nas has some record out there that's probably that's
okay.
For the
flow
change,
second round, 9-8. All right.
Yeah.
Storytelling. Round 3.
Storytelling. We'll make this quick. We'll go with Nas.
All right, round 4, elite consistency. The ability of an MC to maintain their lyrics, flow, and storytelling at a high level consistently over time throughout their career.
What's the category?
This is elite consistency.
Elite consistency? Well, neither artist, again, is consistent. This is another tough one. I will leave that as a draw. Why I would basically label it as a draw is because Nas has huge gaps in his career where he didn't want to work and he was drunk. Jadakiss had huge gaps in his career where he was high, didn't want to work, and he was rolling dice. So for different reasons, but they're both not consistent.
But wait, is it a 10-10, a 9-9, or 8-8?
It's a draw. It's a draw.
But you got to get numbers.
8.
8-8. So elite consistency is an 8-8 round. Next round. Catalog and body of work. The catalog of the body of work consists of their albums, their mixtape performances and features, as well as their features on other people's records. And there's a 2 full album minimum for this category. So, body of work, catalog, Nas, Jadakiss. Who scores this round and why do you give it to him?
I'm going 10-8 Nas. For that reason, Nas has 2 classics under his belt. Jadakiss doesn't. He doesn't have a classic under the belt. And Jadakiss put out 5 albums, and I think only one of them were banging, to tell you the truth. So definitely Nas by a landslide because he has 2 classics under the belt. But Nas has more longevity. Like he has about 12 albums or whatever. But Nas is about a good 4 for 15 from the field. But I'm gonna give the advantage to Nas.
All right, how do you score that round? 10-8.
10-8.
All right. You putting them down? All right, cool. So you blended into the next round.
I hope you got a calculator because these numbers are all over the place.
I know the sixth round is longevity, and that speaks for itself, and you can attest to that.
Longevity, we're gonna go with Nas. For one, he's basically motivated a lot of artists from what we hear today and from what we hear from the 2000s. He's Belly Movie was a big stamp in hip hop as well, and he got away wearing the half moon part and the chipped tooth, and girls thought that was cute. Anybody else couldn't get away with that shit, whatever. So we go with longevity, Nas. 10-9.
10-9. All right. Round 7, hit records. Hit records consist of their own hit records, the ones that they wrote for other people, and hit records that they may have featured on. That all counts. So how do you score round 7?
Round 7 is kind of easy for me. We're gonna go 10-9 with that as well.
In favor of?
In favor of Nas. Again, him having multiple albums and him having a hit almost on every single album that he dropped, I would go with him. Jadakiss really has a handful of hits, speaking for itself, and all of them don't include his solo career. Some of them include the locks as well. Only thing that really Jadakiss that has is the Benjamins, really to hang his hat on. And I think he wrote Puff's verse for Victory, if I'm not mistaken. But I would give the edge to Nas 10-9.
All right, round 8, battle tested. This means that the rapper in the subject that we're talking about has had battles, survived them, didn't survive them, how their career was before the battle versus how it was after the battle. All of these things go into account when you look at battle tested. How do you score the battle tested round?
Battle tested, I'm gonna take the edge on this one. I'm gonna go with Jadakiss 10-9. The reason being is Nas is not built for a battle, and Nas is very emotional. As you can see, if you listen to Ether, he had his shirt off when he was rapping with Ether. You can just tell. He had a bottle in his hand. But Jadakiss stand the test of time. Jada rapped against Beanie Siegel. Jadakiss wanted to rap along with Hove as well, but that didn't happen for whatever reason. What he did on the verses, that felt like a straight battle, and this is current. Also, he had a battle with one person can't even think about right now, but basically, 50 Cent. So in none of these battles, he actually lost or got embarrassed. And Beanie Siegel went at his head, but he still counted with, some shit as well. So it was always a competitive level, and he held his own to each battle. He never got dusted off. But I'm giving the edge to Jadakiss.
All right, next round, cultural influence. This is the artist's ability to culturally influence this particular generation when they landed, and the mark that they leave when they're no longer in the game.
Damn, this is a tough one. I can give you the political answer, and I can give you my personal answer. My personal answer is I think Jadakiss has more influence, but culturally, Nas definitely has more of an impact for numerous reasons. But personally, it's Jadakiss, but I'm gonna go with Nas for the masses. 10-9.
All right. Live.
Nobody ever want Willie Esco either, but that's why. That's really why I didn't want to give it to him. But okay.
All right. So going to live show performance.
Personally, I would say the Locks or Jadakiss. Yeah, Jadakiss. My fault. I said the Locks. Yeah, Jadakiss. I would personally prefer to go to a Kiss concert than a Nas concert. Jadakiss has way more energy. Depending on which Jadakiss shows up, that's what it is. Because you have, the allegedly Admiral Jadakiss. Then you have, the high wants to be laid back.
Performance enhancement.
Yeah. Keith is saying his bat is quirked. I don't know.
Allegedly.
Yeah, the energetic Jadakiss is definitely way more entertaining than the Nas performing his regular cuts off his albums or whatever. But I would definitely go with Jadakiss on this one.
All right, we're coming down the stretch. Generational impact, and by that is the impact that the MC has had not only on this generation, but the previous generation and possibly future generations.
Again, Nas, I would say 10-9 Nas, because Nas is the bigger artist. He has more influence, and by having a bigger audience, you have more influence just from that alone. And Nas could even, what's the word I'm looking for? He could basically transcend himself into something different, and people will still follow. For instance, he has Sweet Chick, and he made chicken and waffles cool on the East Coast. Jadakiss can't really do that and he has juice bars or whatever, but that's more so in the hood. But just the Nas being the bigger artist or whatever, he can push that agenda, and he'll get more of an attraction, and I see the outcome of that.
That's a good point, very good point. And last round is reinvention to relevance. We know that if you're in this game and you got longevity, it's probably because you reinvented yourself at some way, at some juncture, in some form. And the ability to be able to do that, not every MC has it. So between Jadakiss and Nas, who has had the ability throughout their career to reinvent themselves, not look foolish, but reinvent themselves into a level of relevancy throughout the particular times?
This is a tricky one because both of them have stuck to their guns for the most part, especially Jadakiss. He is who he is. He came out the gate who he is. Nas tried some other things along the way through his career that didn't stick. But like I said, he's an emotional guy, so he's tried, the whole Black Panther thing and the Don shit, whatever, with the pink suit and Street Dreams. And then he's tried the whole wants to be a fucking king, all that type of shit, whatever. A lot of that stuff didn't stick, but this one I'm gonna go with a draw because Jadakiss really didn't change up anything, and he's the same way. Jadakiss still wears Timbs, and he still gets his haircut at the same spot. And and drinks on the street.
But what's the score? What's the
It's a
score?
draw. And fucking
10-10, 9-9, 8-8.
We'll go generous. We'll go 9-9.
9-9.
Yeah.
All right, you got all around? So lyrics and bars, I'm gonna have to give Jadakiss 10-9 because, you know, the justification is that he's been consistent all the way through. I've never heard him say anything whack. Even though his flow has been the deliberate same flow, there's nothing wrong with consistency. You know what I'm saying? And he performs consistently. Whereas Nas, in the beginning, his lyrics and bars was like elite at the top level, but then as time went along, the money and the fame came, I started to feel like he didn't pay as much attention. So 10-9 Jada.
Okay, so the next category is flows. So we just talked about that somewhat. We like how people ride the beat, verbal execution, rhyme patterns, innovative styles. Like they changing their styles, like, you know, stuff like that.
Nah, I'm gonna get at the Nas because once again, there's nothing wrong with being consistent, like Kiss has on his lyric and bars, but the flow, you know, at least Nas has experimented on a few things, and when he first started rapping, his flow was like top flow all time.
That's a fact. All right, next category is storytelling.
Nas, hands down.
No, 10-9 is a 10-8.
That's gonna be a 10-8 round because his ability. I could just pick so many different. I gave you power. The joint when he was rapping in reverse, like, you know, the story back with one,
yeah.
toothpaste back in the tooth, like, yo, yeah, 10-8.
All right, elite consistency. That means flow, storytelling. Who's at the highest level when they was at the peak?
All right, elite consistency. I'm gonna get at 10-9 Jada because once again, like I said, the key word with Jada is you know what you're gonna get when you hear him on a mixtape, when you hear him on a feature, you hear him on an album, you hear him on a train, subway talking. You know what you're gonna get. With Nas, we've been fortunate to get some good stuff recently, but in terms of him performing at that elite level consistently, Jadakiss has done that more so than him throughout the entirety of their career.
All right, this one's self-explanatory catalog, body of work over the years.
Yeah, I mean, combining their features, their albums, when you stack them up, even though Nas had almost like more than a half a decade start, I just think that Nas's catalog outlasts Kiss's. You know, it's 10-9. I'm gonna give it 10-9 Nas, but it's just because he had like I mean, it's a quality catalog, but it helps the fact that he came out, you know, like 92, 93, and Kiss didn't come out later.
Okay, how about the next category is longevity?
I'm gonna give that to Nas again, just because of the longevity issue, and it blends over from the other category. You know what I mean? So I give that 10-9 Nas.
All right, this is gonna be a good one, and this is the one that everybody kind of gets stuck on and go back and forth on. Hit records.
Kiss. Why? Because you can put Kiss, the ones that he wrote, the ones that he featured on, the ones that, you know, he don't really have too many hit records on his albums per se, but his fingerprints on hits, whatever, is just crazy because they're just really, really big records. You know, Nas got them too, but I think like when you throw the Benjamins,
Hate Me Now is a big record.
but the Benjamins trumps all.
Basically.
Like that trumps all. Yeah, like that trumps everything.
Okay, so how much? What's the score?
That's 10-9
10-9. All right, so this is another one where I had some good opinions on this one too. Was battle tested.
Kiss. And everybody gonna say, oh, well, Nas dropped Ether. Yeah, Nas dropped Ether. And it was what it was against who it was. But, you know, the caliber of the people, like Jadakiss ran the gauntlet. You know what I'm saying? He didn't go against one top MC. He went against several. And he came out on the better side. He came out better on the other side. You know what I mean? Like, after Nas had I got this thing with Nas where he's only great when he's pushed. Like, things have to go bad for him to be great. Like, people gotta talk shit in order for him to say, oh, y'all talking shit? Oh, and then for him to be great. Whereas Kiss, you know, whether it's a battle, he'll come out better for it. whether it's Beans, 50, whoever, and not for nothing, he wanted to get at Hove too, but it just never materialized.
Hov did not want that smoke. I don't care. I don't care who.
That's like one of those situations where you know, when Mick was telling Rocky not to get in there with Clubber Lang. You know what I mean?
I'm always going to feel some type of way about Hov ducking that battle, because I think if they would have went at each other, I think Kiss probably, because Hov was Hov at that time,
right? He
probably would have got the nod, but people would have really like, yo, hold on.
It would have done something.
It would have really put Jadakiss in a different category. So I always felt like Jadakiss got robbed from Jay-Z not taking that challenge at all. All right. So next category is cultural influence.
I gotta go with Nas 10-9 on there, because like the cultural influence was Bad Boy, and Jadakiss was a part of that. But the cultural influence of Queensbridge as a whole, it was Shan, and then Nas just took it to the next level.
And he birthed a lot of he branched off and like everybody.
There's a lot of people under his tree.
Right. All right. This is another good one too. Live show performances.
Kiss. I've seen the Lox perform live. I've seen Nas perform live, and the Lox perform like a well-oiled. I mean, we saw it on the verses. They perform like a well-oiled machine. Oof. If it's Kiss, he does the same thing. And Diddy taught them how to do showmanship and execute and create that synergy with the DJ. Not saying that Nas don't have it, but Kiss know how to put his performance together, take it to another level.
All right, so we got generational impact.
Okay, not being, like they say, a prisoner of the moment, but I really think that this is a 10-10 round. It's a 10-10 round because what Kiss was able to do with the verses and what Nas was able to do with his album
the last
two albums, you know, it's hard to pick one in that. So I'm gonna give that a 10-10 round.
Okay, reinventions to being relevant again. So basically them reinventing themselves.
Yeah. I will say Nas's reemergence in these last two albums is dependent upon Hit Boy and his production, whereas Kiss did it on his own with his performance at the verses. So I'm gonna give that 10-9 Kiss. Now all Kiss need for his next album is a top producer, a young up-and-coming producer.
So let me ask you a question now. If Jadakiss now puts out another mediocre album, which sometimes he will tend to do, how would you feel about that? Would your opinion about that round would change?
We don't have to do this shit again. We have to do it again. He can't, like, now he's done so well that now a lot of things depend on this next album.
I think, to be honest with you, I don't think he realized how much pressure he's going to be under when making the next album. I don't think he does.
Yeah.
Because I think, the verses should happen, and I think it's been some time, people are just gonna be, all right, cool, we remember, but people still gonna be like, all right, you did this,
right?
Now what you got for me?
You know what you gotta do? Like the same way Nas had Hit Boy, right? And you got that one producer that you in pocket with. The same way, Gangstar was Premier and Guru. Like Kiss gotta find like that one producer or that tandem of producers, whatever, maybe not no more than 2 or 3. Like the Buddha and Grands, my people, maybe Alchemist, what have you, and then just maybe Harry Fraud.
Always go with my boy Damage. I'm a little biased to Griselda moment.
Oh, yeah. Maybe just them 3, them 4, whatever, and just stick with that, and I think he'll have a great album.